No, don't eat me. Don't do it. I'm here to teach you some math. Okay. Well, hopefully you liked my Godzilla opening of this lesson of 3/8 evaluating expressions. Hopefully you can appreciate the art in it. But this really does remind me of back in 2005 when, my sixth graders right here, they were at outdoor ed, and all of a sudden, Godzilla kind of wrecked our party. Yeah, I should write a memoir about that. That was not fun, but we had a beautiful time this year. Much better weather, and there was no Godzilla. But moving on, 3/8 evaluating expressions. Once you have your name and your date written, we are going to use PEMDAS today, and I'm wondering if you remember what that stands for. Here is your opportunity to check your completed homework of dividing decimals. We're going to move on in 3, 2, 1. All right, and as we said for today's lesson, we are evaluating expressions, and I'm thinking this is a vocab word. Do I know what that means? Well, when you evaluate something, you find out what it's equal to. So we have an expression here, and the expression does not have an equal sign. I do not see an equal sign there, so that's why it's called an expression, but we're going to find out what it's equal to, and that's evaluating. Well, Mr. C, how is that different than the regular lesson that we did before, which was where we talked about PEMDAS? So we know that parentheses is P, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And I know, many of us did very, very well on that. Some of us struggled with it, but it's very important. We're just going to elaborate on that, and let's see if you can find the difference here as we read this. How can you evaluate with brackets? All right, I'm looking here, evaluate. I'm looking for the bracket. Oh, okay, a bracket looks like that. Looks like a very sharp smiley face fills sideways. And then this is a regular smiley face. So I'm thinking, how do brackets involve with parentheses? Let's jump over to here first, our order of operations. Let's see how it's different from here. Evaluate inside parentheses and brackets. Okay, so we have PEMDAS, and it looks like they're including in parentheses. They're now including brackets as part of the PEMDAS section. I know that because then I look further, evaluate terms with exponents. I know that's next. Multiply and divide, that's MD. Add and subtract from left to right, that's AD, that's AS. So we're just doing PEMDAS, except we're adding brackets. And there's one more thing that we're going to do during this section, which is where they might tell you X equals, and then they'll tell you a number, and you're going to have to find out what the PEMDAS order of operations problem is, substituting a value for X. But we'll get to that in just a second. Because first we're going to do some work. Let's find out how to actually evaluate this problem. All right, so first evaluate inside the parentheses and brackets. So we have the original problem right here. I see that they highlighted this in red. So first we're looking at the brackets, because the brackets are just like the parentheses. They come first, and then we're looking inside the brackets, and there's more parentheses. So we're just going further in, and I see 3.6 divided by 0.6. So we're going to do that first. And oh, thank goodness, I'm so glad that we learned how to divide with the number with decimal in it. I know that we're supposed to move it. I multiply this by 10 and multiply that by 10. Then I have 36 divided by 6. I know that's 6. So we're looking down here. Man, look at this. The book did a fantastic job of this upside down triangle. It is beautiful. Woo! Man, just want to compliment that for a second. But when we're thinking, where did they get these numbers? We see 6 came from here because they did 3.6 divided by 0.6, got 6 as an answer. They carried down that 2, and that is how they show their work. Now we're looking at this whole problem. What do we do again? Well, we see this is in red. We do that first because I see multiplication, subtraction, and brackets, which are the same as parentheses. And I know I do that first right here in PEMDAS. So 2 plus 6, we brought down the 8. Then we copied the rest of the problem. Which one do I do first? Moving on. So next we can multiply. That's highlighted in blue. And 3.2 times 12 is 38.4. Clue word is waffles. Minus 8. And that's all we have left. And so therefore, let's scroll further. We subtract, we get 30.5 4. I'm wondering, how do I line up those decimals? Line them up just like that. Mr. C, well, the 8 doesn't have a decimal. Well, that's because whole numbers, they have a decimal right after the number. And then if I want to, I could add a 0 there. I could subtract straight down. And that's how they got 30.4. So today we're going to follow our order of operations because the big old dinosaur Godzilla, PEMDAS, is back. But let's not make fun of him, kids. That's not very nice. So for your vocab notes, your assignment is to make a PEMDAS monster comic in your notes with speech bubbles, with the monster interacting. I know that you all can do this very well. We're going to move on in 3, 2, 1. So for example 1, here we are. Oh, Mr. C, you told me about this. You said that there was going to be an x equals to a number. Yes, I did. So how can you evaluate expressions with brackets and variables? Here's the big difference between last lessons and this lessons. We're using brackets and we're using variables. We know those are letters that can change. And just so we're all on the same page, if you don't want to watch me do this example, you don't have to, but I am about to do it. If you want to just go to the notes and write this, well, this part of the pyramid would go above this, and this part of the pyramid would go below this, and you get a full pyramid finding the answer of how to evaluate this example. I will now talk about how to do it. All right, so we had this problem right here. They told us x equals 9.5. Well, first I'm going to write the original problem, and then I'm going to substitute a number, 9.5, for x. So wherever there's x, I'm going to put in 9.5. So see, we changed the problem only by putting 9.5 in here, and then we're going to move on. So first let's just look at this, and we're seeing, I see brackets, I see parentheses, I see brackets, division, addition. He's thinking in his head, I won't always write PEMDAS, but I'm writing it to help you. I know P goes first, that's parentheses, but I also know now that brackets is added onto that. So first, whenever you see brackets, you know that's what's going to go first, because brackets go outside of parentheses. You can have parentheses inside of brackets. They're kind of like a double layer. Kind of like how the parentheses are a specific room in a house, but the brackets are like the brick on the outside. And so we see we're starting within the brackets, and inside the brackets is parentheses. We're going to start there, 9.5 minus 3.5. How did we do that? That's right here. If you wanted to see that, lining up the decimal points is very important when subtracting. We got 6, and they just kind of shortened that to 6. So this became 6 right here. They carried down the next 6 and copied the rest of the problem because they're awesome at showing their work. I see brackets, I see division, I see addition. I'm looking here. Brackets go first with PEMDAS, and then I'm going to do division right here. Brackets, 6 times 6, 36, divided by 12. I know that I'm going to do division next, and then addition. Continuing the problem, I know that we're doing division first. 36 divided by 12. How many groups of 12 are there in 36? There's 3. Carry this out. How did we get 7.2? Man, Mr. C, why is it not 4.5? I added them together. They're telling me it's 7.2. That's because they lined it up just like this. They know that a decimal goes after a whole number when you add them or subtract them. Let's go on to example 2. Here's the whole page if you need notes. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. So here's example 2. You're going to try to do both of these, substituting x in for x in each specific problem, and for y, you're doing y. I only see one y, so that's cool. And check back for the answers, showing you the answers in 3, 2, 1. All right, so here are your answers for specific work. If you want to know how to multiply decimals or add or subtract decimals, I want you to look at the color coordinating that I did. So here is my work, and how I found that one was in green. How I found this red one is in red over here. How I found this blue one's in blue. How I found this black answer is in black. How I found the red answer is in red right there. So I tried to help you with that. We're going to move on from example 2. Make sure you have all of this work, and hopefully you already had it done and correct. If you did, man, you're doing well with PEMDAS. We're going to move on in 3, 2, 1. On page 81, numbers 11 through 16, you may work by yourself or with a partner. We're going to show you the answers in 3, 2, 1. Here are your answers for 11 through 16. Notice how 16 is a word problem, and you should have written out an answer. After you're done with that, make sure you go to the gas station on Socrative so Mr. C knows if you know how to do today's lesson. It's very important. After that, please choose whether you'd like to work in a group or a pair or by yourself doing Khan Academy right away. Either one, choose to do it as quickly as possible. Your group game answers are coming in 3, 2, 1. Here are the Toss and Talk answers for 3.8, which was today's lesson. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot, and please don't forget, you're awesome.